So just last night, one of my really good friends on social media posted a photo that she had taken of the sun setting outside of her bedroom window. And in the caption, she had mentioned how beautiful the sunset actually was. And it's kind of funny how she did that, because just a couple of nights ago on one of my previous videos that I throw up for you guys in this YouTube channel archives, I talked about the sunset and the significance of every sunset that we've seen in both the Descendants and Zombies franchises. They have meant so much because they predicted futures that we were all going to be a part of. We may never have known it at the time when these sunsets played such a significant role in the outcomes of Descendants and Zombies, but we knew that we were going to be a part of something so special. Because sunsets really let us know that no matter who we love will always love us for forever. No matter how far we are apart, our true loves will always be there for us and always show us the way, be our guiding light. Our friends will always be friends with us. Because no matter who we are, we all have that one special friend who we consider our best friend more often than enough, that we tell everything to, that we call all the time just to check in with. And that's really cool. And that's what we saw in the friendships in Descendants and Zombies, was just how they were there for each other every step of the way. And I felt more than honored to cover these friendships for you. And I wanted friendships like that in my own life. I had probably 3 or 4 really good friends that I stayed friends with for forever. We stayed in touch all the time. We stayed connected. And then you had people in your life that you kind of just faded away from. They just kind of faded off. We did our own thing and we kind of went our separate ways. But there are always these people in your lifetime that always stay friends with you because they really do love you that much. They may never tell you how much they love you, but they show it in so many authentic ways. Like Freya Sky and Malachi Burton, for instance, they have never physically told each other that they love each other verbally, but they've shown it all the time through their actions. I think there was one interview that Freya Sky did for Disney where she said she could never tell Malachi Burton how much he meant to her, but she always wanted him to know how much of a special place he would go on to hold in her heart. And that really touched my heart in return, because I really do believe that we could have seen more of these friendships kind of happen in Disney, because oftentimes for shows like Hannah Montana and Wizards, there were people put together in casts that never really did hit it off, never really did have a greater understanding or appreciation for each other. They were just simply kind of put together, a cast was thrown together to put off a production like Hannah Montana. And where value was always seen was in the music. It was never in the story between two characters where the chemistry was undeniable until Descendants of Zombies just kind of happened. And we all took away so much inspiration from the character stories. And we all felt a part of something so special. I know while I can't speak for every other content creator out there, I had the chance to feel a part of so many incredible moments that you guys allowed me the chance to share in. Now, that may have came in the expense of a guy moving into a residency near a soda station in a chemical plant, which I know could explode at any given moment. You guys are going to have to forgive me because I actually did do that. There's actually a soda plantation and a chemical plant there, just like glue, side by side, 5 minutes away from where I live. It's literally a 5-minute walk from where I live. But I did it because I wanted to help bring these videos to life and I wanted to enhance them. Because there are so many people who live with their parents who record videos about Descendants of Zombies who will never move out of their mom's basement, who record videos about Descendants of Zombies all the time, that never really make a whole lot of sense. And I wanted to give you something far better than that. I wanted to give you analogies about Descendants of Zombies that would make perfect sense to you. I wanted to predict release windows for Descendants of Zombies that, seemed like they were never ever going to happen, but they were never that far apart. They were never unrealistic, because there are so many people who are saying even that Descendants of Zombies is never going to see a 5th chapter or a 5th installment. I think that if you can give people hope for a future, that's all that's ever mattered. Because there are way too many AI videos, the content is never original, and you guys have always wanted to see and hear the best when it comes to your favorite stars, when it comes to people like Cameron Boyce and Sophia Carson and Dove Cameron. Because I do know that there are a lot of people who are diehard about the original cast who have subscribed here, and I wanted to honor the original cast just as much as I have the new. Because I do know there's a lot of novelty with this new cast, and because there's a lot of novelty with the new cast, there's a lot of people out there who really don't want to give this new cast much of a chance. And I want you to know that I understand where you're coming from. But the old analogy often applies to situations like this where the times have changed and we as fans have to change with the times. And that is very difficult for a lot of people to do because they've always held on to the stories they love so much, the cast members that brought these characters to life, who were very different cast members. I mean, Sophia Carson played a character, the evil queen's daughter Evie, who had no backstory whatsoever. If there ever was a character who had no backstory whatsoever to come to life, it was Sophia Carson's character Evie, because she had to apply character traits, which in essence allowed her to bring that character to life. Dove Cameron had to do the same, and of course Cameron Boyce had to do the same also. So at least 3 of the 4 of them had no character traits to fall back on. So that's what I had so much respect for them having been able to do, was use their own character traits and their own unique ways of bringing these characters to life. When it came to Red and Chloe pretty much just had, something set out for them. And they pretty much just had to follow along with whatever they had set out for them. These original characters had to do it from the ground up. They had to build on characters and had to build stories. And that's why we see people like Red and Chloe building their own stories now, because they're following suit. And they're living through examples that the original core 4 from Descendants had set for them. But it goes without saying, the new cast of Descendants holds a very special place in all of our hearts. We have held a very special place in our hearts for these characters for quite some time. No matter who we are, we all have a story, and we just want our story to be seen and heard by more people than ever before. We have a favorite character, a favorite moment that led us to the moment where we thought of being a fan of Descendants of Zombies was just simply cool. For many of us, Descendants of Zombies was our ride or die, the thing that we depended on to kind of escape. Descendants of Zombies was really our escape. I know it was often my escape from a world that I found very difficult and challenging sometimes to live within and to find acceptance from within. Because to be honest with you guys, I was pretty much a loser before all of you became a very, dedicated part of my life. I was pretty much covering pro wrestling. I thought pro wrestling was real. I was a loser because I was playing so many video games. That's all I did with my time. And then Descendants of Zombies kind of happens for me. I was always a fan of Disney, and I felt a part of every generation of Disney. But when it came to Descendants of Zombies gave me this phenomenal opportunity to be considered a part of something special for the first time ever in my life. I felt connected to a franchise. I felt a part of a franchise. People were calling me a Descendants analyst. People were calling me a professor of Descendants. And people wanted to attend a class to learn more about Descendants of Zombies. The thing is, when you're a teacher, like my mom was for over 30 years, even with how annoying her skills may have been as a teacher, with how she used to teach people and teach them valuable life lessons, the thing that the teacher gets the most joy out of and appreciation from is knowing that people want to attend their class and they feel a part of it. And it's really, really cool that my idea for the future of Descendants of Zombies was accepted by far more people than ever before. Every single time that I would ever upload a video, people would tune in. People would always hit the like button. People would hit the subscribe button. And eventually, people who watched me 20 years ago, when I was the biggest loser ever, would come back here and they would watch my new videos and appreciate my new content just as much, because I reinvented the content. I made it different. I made it funnier. I made it more engaging. I made you feel more compelled by the content. And you felt drawn in. You felt a part of the Descendants franchise for the first time ever. And that's the one thing that nobody could ever deny, was that they felt connected and they felt a part of this franchise. They thought, maybe I could be a character in Descendants. Maybe I could have a chance of working with Kylie Cantrell or Malia Baker, or possibly even meeting them. I've often thought of myself kind of falling down through a rabbit hole, kind of just showing up in Oregon and kind of wandering through the forests of Wonderland, and then, just conveniently enough bump into Red and Chloe, say, "Hi, my name's Jonathan, how can I help you?" I've kind of lost my way in the forest. And then Jonathan Clarke goes on to become everybody's favorite Descendants character. The cool thing is about these characters are they just kind of randomly show up. Like the way Pink is going to be introduced into this story is she's just going to kind of randomly show up and say, "Hey everyone, my name is Pink. Hi Red. Sorry it took me so long to get here, but I'm here." And off of that, a new storyline is created. This happened so many times in the wrestling industry when I was covering. People would just kind of show up in the wrestling industry and just random storylines would be kind of thrown at us. And because random storylines would be thrown at us, these characters would go on to play a significant role in the outcome of so many influential things that would happen. Characters just kind of have a way of showing up and, playing such a critical role in the development of storylines and characters. And I really appreciate how we learn to appreciate such things as friendship and time, and how the greater appreciation was emphasized on because of the storylines of Descendants of Zombies. Now, while the original trilogy may have never focused on just how precious time was, it focused on friendships and love. And that is something I really appreciated about the original trilogy, is the emphasis on friendships and love, especially when it came to the love story of Mal and Ben, because Mal and Ben's love story we thought so much over it. We thought we would get to a point where we'd see them get married in a live action adaptation rather than a animated version of it. We thought that we would see more happen for them, probably go on to have a child of their own, and the story would have continued. We had so many fantasies that we kind of wanted to live through with Descendants of Zombies. And I have this to say to all of you. If you are somebody who has ever believed that happening in the story, it could happen. Either live action adaptations could happen of it, or something animated could happen from everything we predicted. And we've kind of held on to for a very long time. And the same thing can happen for Red and Chloe too, because there have been so many rumors about their friendship, and people think obviously very differently about it. But I think if we give these friendships a chance, more things can happen for it. I remember when Descendants first premiered and everybody were making all these predictions and nobody knew quite what to make of it. You know, people thought this or people thought that, and then all the predictions kind of came together. People were thinking we were going to see this grand wedding of Mal and Ben. We were going to see this happen for them. They may have a kid and they were going to carry on their legacy. And I really think that would have been a beautiful way of carrying on the story, because it really would have made people's imaginations one more wild and would have been more widely open. Because when you leave the door of possibilities more widely open, you give a chance of people really experiencing fantasies and believing in happily ever after happening for them, and true love being found by people no matter how long it takes them. Because I think along the way, Descendants of Zombies has taught us so many valuable life lessons that we've always taken away from it, and we've always taken away a greater appreciation that has often been attached to the stories that these characters have shared with us. And we've seen empowerment, we've seen heart, we've seen dedication, we've seen everything in the one. And the cool thing about these videos have such an incredible reach, and they are reaching far more people than I ever thought they would. There are people who used to watch me 20 years ago who are still watching these videos today, who are growing up now, who are 18, 19, 20, 25, who remember me watching me when they were really, really young. And that is really, really cool how these videos have made you feel connected to these franchises. And I feel more than honored that people are watching me after all this time, because it shows your heart and your dedication for the content that I've created. It shows the appreciation that you've always had for a guy like me, who I never ever thought would be chosen as everybody's favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel. Let me put it to you this way. I will never live long enough to be able to tell you guys how much you guys have truly meant to me and how much of a special place you have held in my heart, because you really have. Without you, I have no audience. I have no response. I have no subscribers. I really have nothing to fall back on. But with you, I've been given so much incentive, and I've been pointed in a direction that could never have felt more promising. There are so many people who create Descendants of Zombies videos, often AI incorporated, that never really make a whole lot of sense. And I've often reiterated on this how you guys have deserved better. And I just simply wanted to give you something better. I know that I must sound like a broken record to a lot of people. I upload like 3 videos every day. And again, before sunset tonight, before sunset falls, I will talk about Descendants of Zombies all over again and probably tell the same story. But again, every time that you hear the story, for people who are die-hard fans, who have made Descendants of Zombies their ride or die, people love hearing that same story told, but every time you tell it in a different way. And that's what leaves people captivated. That's what gives people hope, to make release windows not seem that far away, to not feel like it's so far off in the distance that it's never going to happen. Because I know there are people out there who have often felt like that about Zombies 5. They feel like Zombies 5 is never going to happen, but trust me, it will. They feel like we were never going to get to a point where more release windows would open up for Descendants 5, Book of Wonderland, and more things would be suggested and talked about, but we will. The thing about Disney is they usually leave it till 1 month prior to the release of something like Descendants 5, Book of Wonderland, and when it gets that much closer, then they have this whole month of PR. So by the end of June, promotion for Descendants 5 is going to begin to roll out, and by the time they roll it out, it is going to be nothing short of phenomenal, and people are predicting and looking at release windows stemming from July 12th right through to the 19th. So it will kick off with a premiere on Disney Channel, and then a global premiere will happen on Disney Plus. I have just recently renewed my subscription to Disney Plus, and I'm really excited to see where we go from here, because the possibilities are really endless, and we have a chance to be a part of something so phenomenal. And I am so excited to be a part of it with all of you. And here's the thing. If you are somebody who is new to this YouTube channel, I would love for you to be a part of these conversations we have, because so many people have fallen in love with these conversations. And it really warms my heart to know that people who have watched me after all this time are still watching, are still here. And there are new people found within a new generation who are discovering this YouTube channel for the first time. Those of you who may not know this, I've been around for a very long time. I've been around for over 25 years, so there's nothing that I don't know about Disney, and oftentimes there are things that I don't know, being a professor of Disney, that people kind of clue me in on. And I really appreciate that when you're vocal. I really appreciate when you show up and you're the only person you've ever known how to be, and that's yourself, because you are what makes the world go round. You are what makes everything happen for people like me. You are what makes me help make sense of everything happening for myself, and really what makes this YouTube channel and this entire experience worth it. Simply put, ladies and gentlemen, if you are somebody who believes in a story that should have happily ever happening for it, or a chance at true love, then I just want to encourage that, and I want to give you hope for a future that we are all going to be a part of. So if you are somebody who believes in happily ever after happening for you, and second chances and true love, then I think this could be the YouTube channel for you. So why don't you go ahead and hit my subscribe button, because I would love for you to be a part of these conversations. And again, from my heart to yours, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your world and a part of your story, because it means so much to me, more than you will ever know. Thank you so much from wherever you're hearing my voice or watching this video today, and thank you so much as always from my heart to yours for having watched these videos.